Hello, how are you doing today? This is Brian with ZimCo Survival, and today I've got a review for you guys. This one is on the UCO Titan Stormproof Match Kit. Basically, this is something I've had for a while. I actually bought a brand new one because somebody stole my other one. But this is basically a waterproof match kit that uses huge matches that are stormproof. And I dropped it. For the purpose of starting fires in adverse conditions. Now, I can honestly say I've not found matches that are equal to these. These are by far the best quality matches that I've used. So they are something that I keep as part of my kit for those times when it's an emergency. This is not something that I would use just as a general fire starting tool. These are something that you'd use if you needed to use them. Now, luckily, I've only run into a case a couple of times where it was just really damp, really rainy, and all of my tinders were really damp. So I went ahead and I used this and was able to get a fire started. But like I said, it's only a couple of times. Now, apparently somebody really liked them and decided to walk away with them. So I had to buy myself a new one. But this is basically what you're going to get when you buy the match kit. Now, they do sell refill boxes which have 25 matches in them, but this is what you're going to get when you actually buy the kit itself. You get 12 stormproof matches. It does come with extra strikers. Your striker is right here on the outside, so if this gets wet, this striker will be ruined. You have to let this striker dry out and make sure that nothing touches it, because it is paper, and if you rub it against something, it will just rub off all the striking material. So the one thing that I learned the hard way with these is you got to be very careful with this striker. If it gets wet, just kind of let it dry out. Don't touch it. Try to make sure that it doesn't actually come in contact with anything that could rub off your striking surface. But they do provide you with 2 extra strikers in a sealed bag. This bag is not, you actually have to physically cut it open to get the strikers out. So the strikers in there are completely 100% waterproof while inside of this kit. So if for some reason this does get wet, the matches will be dry, the strikers will be dry, but this thing here will be wet. So you need to go ahead and grab one of those spare strikers. It does have a large O-ring. See if I can show you there. There it is. To basically make it and keep it watertight. The canister itself to keep that watertight. They do give you a little bit of cotton in there in the lid. Personally, I've found that's just there to keep the matches from rattling around as much. Versus if you take the cotton out, see the difference? I think that was a manufacturing thing. They try to tout it as, oh, we did this for you. We added some cotton tinder for you. In my experience, they didn't add it for you. They added it to silence the matches and then used it as a marketing tool. See? So I keep the cotton in just to keep the matches quiet and keep them from banging around and getting damaged. But I don't actually start fires with it. I mean, it's there if you really wanted it, but for me, that's not its real purpose. But here you have the match. Now these matches do tend to be regular. Like you can see here, this one had a little drip on it. But the wood itself seems to be treated so that the wood doesn't catch. Basically, this match tends to burn only for that length, and this piece of the wood won't really burn. Now, sometimes you can make it burn, sometimes you can't, but it's obviously been treated with something to make it fire resistant, which is kind of good because these matches burn really, really hot. So, it helps keep you from burning your fingers. But basically, this match is about 4 inches long. Burns for about 25 to 30 seconds. It is a good match. They do light fairly easily, and they burn very, very hot. So let me go ahead. I'm going to close this off because I don't want to accidentally light all of them. Let me go ahead and just strike one for you so that you guys can get an idea of how easy they are to strike. Sometimes it could take a couple of strikes, but normally it strikes fairly easily. There you go. So you do get a very strong smell of sulfur, like gunpowder, which is kind of expected with the kind of match this is, but it is extremely strong, and as you can see, there is a lot of smoke. So, environmentally friendly, I wouldn't really say that. Whew. God, that thing stinks. They stink when you light them on fire. I guess that is the one thing that I really have a problem with these, is just how much they smell. But as you can see, it hit the yellow and went out. This does form a coal. When it initially goes out, this thing will glow red hot. If it's nighttime, you can see very clearly that this whole thing is one big coal. It's very hot. Don't touch it for a while after you've lit it, because if you touch that top part, you will burn yourself. Because it stays really hot for a long time. Now, one of the benefits of these matches, let me grab another one for you here, is that they are airproof, waterproof, windproof. Nothing will put these out. I'm going to show you here. I'm going to dunk this in water, and it will actually burn underwater. Nothing can put this out. So once you've struck it, it will not go out. Judging by the color of the flame that comes off of here, that bright white color, I'm going to say there's magnesium mixed into this, and that's probably why it does that. Because magnesium is known for burning like that. So my guess is there's magnesium infused in the match head, which is what gives it that stormproof nature. And these things burn very, very hot. So you got to be careful with them. And make sure you hold it as far away from the match head as you can. Otherwise, you will burn yourself with them. But right here, I have some water. I'm going to show you guys that they don't go out. I mean, they just don't. So let me go ahead and strike that. There we go, see? One strike. And you can leave it in there for quite some time. Pull it out, shake it off. There you are. So, as far as matches go, when it comes to longevity and its ability to actually start a fire pretty much no matter what the conditions are, those things are by far the best. But let me show you what the water looks like here. See if I can show it to you. Here, let's angle you down a little bit. That is what the water looks like after these things have burned in it. That's why I wouldn't say they're environmentally friendly. There's obviously oils and chemicals inside of this match that should not ever come in contact with water. Try to straighten you guys out. There we go. Because that shit is nasty. It is not something that I would ever use unless it is necessary for my survival. Or in cases like the two that I ended up doing or having to use these matches for, where I simply wasn't going to get a fire started through any normal means. It was a matter of I needed something that burned a lot hotter and a lot longer to get my tinder to catch. So basically what I decided to do for you guys is I'm going to show you kind of how I set up the fire with this. So I went ahead and I found some damp tinders. Yes, I specifically searched for damp tinders, straight off the ground, not from in trees or anything like that, to be able to show you how this worked when I was actually doing it. It works fairly well. Sometimes it can take more than one match. In one case, I did have to use about, I think it was 3. It was 3. It wasn't 4, it was 3. 3 of these matches to get the fire started because the tinder was that damp. Now in this case, it's lightly damp, so I should only need 1, maybe 2, but we'll see. So even though UCO kind of touts these things as one strike kind of capabilities where you light one match, you got to fire, sometimes it works out that way, sometimes it doesn't. So it just depends on the extreme nature of the conditions and what your tinder looks like and things of that nature. So basically I just set up a very basic little fire lay, nothing major. This is kind of what I would expect from somebody who doesn't have much experience with fires, which is kind of what these are for. you know, just your general backpackers, hikers, emergency fire starter kind of method. People that don't have a lot of experience with it. So I just have some pine straw, some damp pine straw, some damp twigs kind of laid on top of it. Like I said, I'm trying to keep this as realistic as possible, and I can't expect that everybody is going to have a lot of fire building knowledge. So I did something that I would expect from your average person. Alright, so as you can see, just a basic little fire lay, a little tent of pine straw with some twigs on top, nothing major, nothing over the top. So again, something I would expect from your average, you know, camper or hiker who doesn't have a lot of fire building knowledge. So let's go ahead and get this right here. We have our match. Just going to put that down inside of there. And we have a basic, as you can see, it is incredibly wet. Wetter than I thought it was. This is kind of how it was smoking when I ended up having to use 3. But this time it looks like my twigs were a bit drier. But yep, so as you can see, it will successfully start a fire, even though it's heavily damp. But again, it's more of an emergency fire starter. You really don't get enough inside this little tube to warrant, you know, using it as a primary fire source. But there you have it. Fire started with the UCO Titan Matches. So let's head back to the chair. I'll give you guys a little bit more. It should be a fairly short little review. Be right back. Alright, so hopefully you guys were able to see kind of what I was talking about. That pine straw was a lot wetter than I thought it was. Just due to the amount of smoke that was coming off of it. So I was able to get the fire started with 1 match, but the last time it smoked like that, I guess my actual twigs themselves were more damp as well, but it took 3 matches. So I want you guys to be aware that it can take more than just a 1 to start a fire when things are really damp like that. But there you go. That's your evidence. It will start a fire with minimal fire prep. And you have 12 of them in this little kit. Now, like I said, these are definitely not a primary fire source. They're just too big. You don't get many of them in this thing. You know, you only have 12. And there are instances, from my own personal experience, where it takes more than 1 match to actually get the fire started. So when I actually carry this now, because the most I've ever had to use was 3, I budget this based on 3 matches per fire, because I never know. And the most I've had to use was 3. So when I bring this thing with me with full of 12 matches, I consider it good for 4 fires. I'm just a safety conscious person that way, and that's how I budget my emergency items in my hiking pack, is because I do experiment with them. I do test them on a regular basis. I don't just buy them, stick them in the bag and say, oh, this is cool. I do take them out, I do test them, I do make sure that they work appropriately, and especially emergency items like these, so that I know that they'll work when I need them to, and if they don't work, I have to replace them with something else. But right here, I do, I budget 4 fires for this tube. I recommend that you guys do the same. Just because you have 12 matches doesn't mean you're getting 12 fires. So for your emergency pack, kind of budget 3 matches per fire. Now, I don't know if anyone who's used these has had to use more than 3. That's just my personal experience. So there you have it. As far as I'm concerned, you'll get 4 fires out of this tube. up to 12, but 4 fires is what you should budget. Now, as far as the fit and finish and construction of the tube itself goes, I would say that it's pretty good. The last tube that I had did last for quite some time. I didn't have any problems with it leaking or anything over time like that. This thing right here, I mean, it works if you want to clip it to your bag or something like that, but personally, I never used it. It just kind of helped keep it from getting lost in the leaves or something like that. But overall, good little match kit. You get your extra strikers, you get your striker on the outside. The matches, as you saw, typically light with 1 light. Sometimes it can take 2. As your striker starts to get worn down, it can take more, strikes before the match actually goes off. But overall, I'd have to say a good, solid match kit by UCO. If you're caught out in the woods, this will actually get your fire started, and even if you have to use more than 1 match, you will have a fire. So that is an important thing with UCO. Now, I have a number of different emergency fire starting methods. I'm one of those people who likes to include a number of different things in my emergency kits to make sure that I have what I need just in case. And this is one of the items I do carry. Now, I also carry another match kit by UCO, which I'll be doing a review on here, which is their standard match kit. Why do I carry both? Because I'm that kind of person. It's an emergency fire kit, so Fresnel lens, ferro rod, mag bar, matches, couple of different tinder options. But there you have it, the UCO Titan. Let's see if I can Titan match kit. A+ rating for me. Very good. Expensive. Expect to pay between $7 and $10 for this kit, and about the same amount for the replacement matches. Now, like I said, this holds at most 12. You might be able to stick 13 in there if you really try to fumble with it, but 12 is what you can comfortably fit in here, where you're not trying to wrestle the matches back out. The refill kits hold 25 matches, so that's 2 refills and 1 extra match, basically, for I think it's $9, $7 or $8, something like that. 9 in that area, and then you're gonna pay about $9 for this. So you pay the initial $9 to get your kit, but then every time you refill it, you're also gonna be paying about $4 or $5. So ultimately, they are expensive. They aren't something that I consider primary fire starting methods. It's an emergency use item in my opinion. But there you have it. There's my review. Now, as always, you can find the affiliate links in the description. So if that is something that you guys want to take a look at, you'll be able to find this. I should have this and the refill kits in the description via an affiliate link. So go ahead and check them out on Amazon, and let me know what you think in the comments below. So, as always, if you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe. Bye-bye.